Hey everyone, Daniel from AngelDAO here. To recap quickly, in the last video we covered getting Troves from Liquidity contracts on the Ethereum blockchain. In this video, we are going to cover finding out what the Troves collateral ratio is and how to liquidate them if they are under collateralized. To start this video, I want to cover MEV and reiterate what I mentioned in video 2. This bot will not be profitable in its current state because it will need much more optimization due to the competitiveness of MEV. MEV is malicious reordering of transactions, standing for minor extractable value. It's malicious depending on how you look at it, but basically miners can reorder transactions to give themselves like a beneficial fill on an order and do things like front running, back running, sandwich attacks. So it's pretty in-depth, and it's definitely not something to go over in a beginner to even intermediate level walkthrough. So I'll include more links if you guys want to learn about it further, but that's the reason why the bot won't be profitable and why it needs further optimization. Now let's get into the code and the video 3 changelog, where we are adding the get undercollateralized.rs file and the liquidate.rs file. So to start, we have the main.rs file, and these are where the preliminary changes are. So we're bringing in the get undercollateralized and liquidate module, and all of that logic code is being executed here. And from a high level, what all of this is doing is gathering the troves that we collected and passing them to the get undercollateralized module function run and returning all of the troves that are under collateralized and printing them here, creating an account, and then if the account is greater than 0, we're going to pass them to the liquidate run function and liquidate them. That covers all the changes in the main.rs file. So let's go to the get undercollateralized.rs file. First function we've defined is the get ETH USD price, and this takes in the price feed contract and calls the last round data method on that contract. And basically what this returns is the ETH USD price. So we need the ETH USD price to determine what the collateralization ratio is, and we also need to know the ETH price to get the TCR, which we'll go over next. This function is the get TCR function, and we are passing in the Trove manager and the price and calling the method get TCR on the Trove manager contract, and it takes a parameter price. So we are passing that in. And this just simply returns the TCR. Again, this stands for the total collateral ratio, and it's basically the sum of all of the collateral and the sum of all of the debt, or all the collateral, sum of all the collateral divided by the sum of all the debt. Next, we have the run function, and it takes in the Trove manager, price feed, and Troves contract. We are going to return the to liquidate vector from this function. We set the ETHUSD and TCR variables from the returns of the functions. We initialize the MCR and stability pool variables, and this condition will set those variables. The condition TCR is less than 1.5. It's good to note here that this actually does include or needs further, I guess, nested if statements inside that condition, but I just wanted to keep it pretty simple and basic. So that's an edge case that you need to be aware of if you are going to, I guess, start from this repo. So keep that in mind. Next, we are going to print the current MCR that we determined from our condition and the lowest CR Troves by CR, which will have the CRs of all of the Troves being print below it from this loop. Basically, this just checks if the CR is below the MCR, and if so, it's going to push to the to liquidate vector. Finally, we are going to print the length of to liquidate, and that will be the amount of Troves below the MCR, and we will return that vector. Now that we have covered the get undercollateralized file, let's see how this is returned in the main.rs. So as you can see here, this is all the logic that we are executing for the get undercollateralized.rs file, and we are returning the get under C Troves variable, which we are going to get the length of for count, and that will determine how many Troves are to be liquidated. If the count's greater than 0, we're going to call the liquidate run function and pass in the Trove manager and the under C Troves vector. So what this file looks like is a for loop that for each Trove in the under collateralized Troves, we will be calling the Trove manager liquidate method and pass in the owner of the Trove so it knows which Trove to liquidate. I have the code to call the contract method commented out because, like I said in the second video, this series is not to make a profitable liquidation bot, but rather just to get you started. So if you were to actually run and send a transaction, this is the method you would use. So now let's test the outcome of our bot and run it in the terminal. So boom, looks good. We have all of our collateralization ratios printing. We have the MCR printing and the TCR from Liquidity printing. As we can see from the CRs, none of them are below the MCR of 1.1, and so none of the Troves are to be liquidated. That'll do it for this video series. I hope this was helpful in understanding Rust and how to use it with Ethereum. If you guys have any feedback on the series or this video, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below and subscribe for more content like this in the future.